Oh, I guess it's been live for a minute. Guess YouTube's doing this thing again, just like last week. Sorry about that. Okay, so I guess we are live, and I actually want to go public with this one. Let me see if I can change this to public, just because the market's in a really good spot, and I don't know if I can change it right now. I don't know. I don't know if I can. Yeah, it's unlisted. I don't think I can change it to public. Oh, here it is. All right. All right, we're going to change it to public. Let's have conversations here. I think this would be good. I should have done this earlier. I was trying to squeeze a little bit of time. We'll see. All right. Markets are looking pretty good right now, I think. Stock market, we've been talking about that the past couple of weeks. That's been doing really good. And we've been seeing crypto, especially just in the past couple of days, really hasn't been a long period of time. My top 20 list is looking great. The rest of the market, so, not so much, but it is. I think we're in a little bit better spot. We're a little healthier. I don't know if we're in for a rip roaring rally quite yet, but I think we have a good possibility of going into the maybe a sideways choppy season. I know we talked a lot a couple of years ago. Hey, what up, English? Yep, we're going live today with this one. I think the market's in a good spot, so let's announce it to everyone. I think. So I do want to roll back a little bit to 2020. Oh, I can change the graphic on that one. That's interesting. Let's roll back to 2020 as a matter of fact, and I do think that what happened pre-COVID could be a little bit of a precursor to what's happening today. We did a lot of work over here, and yeah, it's been a while. Yep, you are correct. Busy guy these days. I think we could be in. I'm hoping we're either in the middle or towards the tail end of what could be, something like this. Here, like we had a lot of choppy sideways up. If we're lucky, we're here. I didn't even really think about that. If we're lucky, we're here, but I don't know if we're that late in the cycle, but it does loosely match with what we're doing, as a matter of fact. Obviously, here we had, a bear market come into play. And then my opinion was if you erase this COVID drop and just shrink the chart for those couple of months, that may have been what we would have been left with if we didn't have the COVID drop. So maybe we're kind of in that point, because I think a lot of people, if not everyone, has agreed that we've already found a low or the low. And at this stage of the game, I think we're sideways waiting to go higher. I never really thought about this sequence likening to where we are right now, but I guess it's fully possible. We have two base on, kind of a base on base pattern going on here with these two bases with a low defined. And so, yeah, there's a decent possibility that we can curl up our trend line. Plenty of room to go here. What up, Loopy? DXY? What's the trade on DXY? Just for it to go up? I don't know. I'll have to look at that. I haven't looked at the DXY in a while since the market kind of, currencies started getting less aggressive. We really have been laying off the currencies lately. But yeah, so since we kind of have found a definitive low, maybe this is enough structure for us to start getting up. Difficult to tell quite yet, but we will be. I think we'll be going sideways. Hopefully, hold this trend line and then continue. So going back over to that time, this preceded a very large run, which was our last large run, as a matter of fact, crossing this 12,000 level. In a nice moonshot, if you will, got very aggressive. Let's take a look at some secondary indicators. When you reach these kind of points in the market that could be inflection points, changes in behavior, things of that nature, whatever you want to call it, secondary indicators can help a little bit, I think, especially. VA Tool tells a really good story here. So here we have volume aggregation tool, if I pull up accumulation distribution, we haven't done that in a while. Let's do that real quick. Let's pull up accumulation distribution. Okay, so during this whole time, accumulation distribution was pretty steady. We didn't really get much of a downtick. We got a little bit here. We did a lot in accumulation distribution probably about 4 or 5 months ago. Talked about the declining trend line actually. Ooh, forgot about this one. Declining trend line on accumulation distribution. And we're kind of right back at it. So look at that. Our accumulation distribution on BTC is basically at all-time highs. Now, the accumulation distribution and my volume aggregation tool are very similar with one distinct difference. The accumulation distribution just continues on forever in perpetuity. It's always adding or subtracting the next day's volume in relation to where it's closing. My volume aggregation tool, similar to the RSI, has a 22-day expiration on the volume. So you see how the buying goes down here. That's because 22 days ago this volume was expiring and being subtracted from the total. Accumulation distribution never expires. It just continues to go up. So kind of two slices of the same thing. And something we noticed a while back, long time ago, is that we rarely get these declining situations in the accumulation distribution, and then they eventually fall off, like you can even call it sideways. It doesn't matter if it's declining, sideways, declining, whatever the thing is, and then it goes, it starts launching again. Boom. Boom. And something you'll notice, I'm not going to go that deep in the charts right now. We're going to talk about stocks later, as a matter of fact, too. We'll spend some time on that. But what you'll notice is that there's some actual pullbacks in the market when this accumulation distribution is seemingly going straight up. Like, these don't look like big pullbacks in the market. But then you have these big pullbacks in the market, such as these. And then I'll go to the weekly just so we can get a different point of view here. What? Killed my trend lines. Well, that's stupid. That's not very nice. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, we go horizontal for a while. So here's 2015. We crossed that, and then boom, we're off to the races. Here we crossed this high. Boom, kind of off to the races. We do have another sideways segment here. This is the 2020 dip. I can tell that just by looking at it. And then here we have this next iteration of sideways on the accumulation distribution. I get the feeling alts are itching to break out, people getting tired of choppy sideways action. Yeah, the alts are doing okay. The top 20 is really what's rocking. It's not the general altcoin market, though. My BTC pairs are still pretty thin, even the USD pairs. But we are getting some pops. In the past couple of weeks, we've had some pops. So my general point here, though, is that I'm still kind of interested in this accumulation distribution. I don't use this a lot, but I do like the fact that it follows volume, because volume is very important. And this just shows that Bitcoin's in an ever accumulating strategy, if that makes sense. Like, this is always being, so I can go to like maybe Litecoin, which I haven't done this before in some of these other ones. Oh darn, look at Litecoin. Sheesh, Litecoin's ever accumulating. Let's pick some garbage. What's the garbage I'm thinking of right now? Shoot, Omisego. This is a chart that generally looks, yeah, see, this is what, so, accumulation distribution doesn't always go straight up. It can definitely point you to some interesting conclusions. I don't use it as a primary indicator, but I like what it does with the volume. So here's a good example of an accumulation distribution chart that you should not be proud of. But if you have something like even a Tesla, even in the stock market, look at a Tesla. Like, this is a stock that's obviously being heavily accumulated. And then you can pick another stock like Backblaze, which is one of my new favorites, just as a company, not as a stock. But look at this thing. It has the opposite effect. So the accumulation distribution, while it is not a primary indicator, I definitely think it's got some uses. Like, you could use Apple. Sure, this thing's never gone down, for crying out loud. These guys just make so much damn money. It's crazy. So here you got Apple. No, it took a downfall right there. But you generally get the point. And Bitcoin is most of the time always on the way up. I don't know what exchange we're on right now. Binance, I think. Anyway, my general point is that let's go back to charts. My general point is that with accumulation distribution going like this, and I kind of forgot about this until right now, actually, RSI trend line break. If we get a nice volume stepping in the next coming weeks, I mean, that could be really good for Bitcoin. Could be really good. I think we could start going into a better cycle. So that was one secondary indicator. Like I said, we don't usually use accumulation distribution, but definitely thought I'd discuss it because I wanted to look at it. RSI is not in a bad place. We're at the 50 level. We could go up or down from here. And volume aggregation tool is actually, the buyers and sellers are kind of waiting for someone to make a move. And whoever moves next wins. And with the way the market's going, I think the bulls are going to prevail in this one, as they usually will and should. But it may take a while. We've already been chopping here, and it may take a little while for it to go sideways. And like I mentioned, this inclining trend line that we've had here, plenty of room there. We came and touched our box down here, although we never really got into it, which is pretty bullish as a matter of fact. And if you look at the past week, actually, volume aggregation tool, we did get some selling pressure popping in here with the red. But hey, what up, Aram? Yeah, we're live today, buddy. FYI. We did get some selling pressure in here, but look, we didn't really go down very far. And the RSI actually printed some divergences on the 2-hour time frame, which we noted, and had a nice bottoming candle. And we've been in this very minor uptrend, which I'm not. This isn't making me thinking we're going to break out, but I do think that hopefully we found this low. And we have a bottom side alert here at the 25,874. I'm hoping that holds as support. If we can hold that as support here going sideways, then that'll put a nice cup structure in here. And we'll start to curl up at some point, because if we don't go down, we'll go up. And I think that's what we're left with. But overall, I think we're in a pretty decent spot. We've proven stability up above the 20,000 level now for the past several months. And I like where we're at. I just don't know if we're ready to move up right now. Like I said, a little bit more cupping action. We could get something really dramatic in here, and then it'll be all signals go. It really will be. And I think, like I said, I think we're reaching, hopefully towards the tail end, maybe a little towards the middle. We never know exactly when things are going to break out, but things are looking better. We found a definitive bottom, and I think we're good. So I'm just waiting for good stuff to happen. Is what we're doing right now. Okay, so we're going to move on. For those of you, most of you probably already know me, this is the Power Hour, and we're going to do the top 20 coins. That's the list on my screen here. Someone mentioned Litecoin. We will do Litecoin. It's down here. It's actually doing really good in the market at the moment. And I don't have any USD pairs, which is strange, and I do have one BTC pair that we will go over. And then we will go over stocks en masse or anything else you guys want to discuss. But the stock market right now is the place to be. And we will definitely be discussing that. Some of our options trades that we've been talking about. And we'll go from there. All right. So next up, let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum is in a pretty good place too. Been able to hold up. We have a 1917 alert level. And here we have something a little bit different. We're flagging like we were up here at our last alert at the 2126, which didn't work out. Not every alert is going to, but if we are able to break out of this, that would be nice. If it's a breakout without any momentum, maybe we'll go sideways and into Ethereum's kind of upward sloping trend line. So plenty of room here to go as well. Lots of work for the market to do, still probably until we get really good, and that's good work. It needs to happen. So nothing too bad. Elias has a target. I think it's not a good one. We do cover Hex, and Hex lately has been garbage since Pulse Chains come out. Found a little bit of a bottom so far, but no upward momentum. BNB actually not doing too bad. Sorry, trying to timestamp this. BNB not being too bad. BNB is coming off of the lows. We're holding the lows of this channel. Basically, all the closes are under here. So waiting for BNB to get healthy, although we are still chopping sideways. Any technical bear flag, if with BTC and Ethereum looking pretty good, this will probably start to perk up again a little bit as well. XRP is kind of taken a little bit of leadership here, and as a matter of fact, we have a cup and handle over the past couple of days. Our 5285 alert level, that is also your breakout point for the cup and handle. I wish our volume was a little bit better. Hold on a second, guys. What's up, James? Blankets for what? Yeah. Well, do the ones in the cupboard, not off our bed. Okay. Um, Cup and handle here on XRP. So we have an inverted head and shoulders on the daily time frame. And then we have a breakout, not quite all the way to the measured move, but I do think this could be a nice consolidation to maybe even break the 55-cent level up here, which so far has kind of been a ceiling for XRP for a while. So we're even above this large declining trend line. This could start a move up for XRP. One of the old XRP moves, maybe not the really old XRP moves, but this type of a move. This was 2020, right? All this garbage was 2020. But, so here's actually another example. Here's a kind of a larger cup and handle with a breakout right there. Now, this one is not near that large of a cup and handle, but coming off of lows like this, nothing really has a huge chart pattern in it. But here we have a daily inverted head and shoulders. It's been painting some good structure in the past couple of months. So I don't think this is a bad thing. You could put this on a short watch list, I think, if things start getting really bullish. This may move first, as a matter of fact. Cardano choppy sideways, really nothing going on, looking to make some sort of a pattern here, but this may or may not even qualify as a base on base. Could just be a large channel. Nothing really aggressive for Cardano right now, unfortunately. Dogecoin, small little declining situation here, and again, nothing exciting here for Dogecoin. Most of these coins aren't really doing anything super exciting. Solana also with a small cup and handle here. Maybe we'll break out of this one. I don't have an alert for this one. Let's actually throw it. 2141. And I'll throw it on the alerts real quick too. Give me a second. Oh, it's right there. Good. Okay. So Solana's alert is 2141 right now. Cup and handle. Coming off for the lows. This is not a good one. Breaking these declining trend lines. I'll take it if you're looking at a trade. This one I also think could be in a short list. Volume's a little bit better on this one. If you notice, the right side of the cup has some more elevated volume candles on the 2-hour time frame and lower volume in the handle. We do have a nice pocket pivot here on the 2-hour time frame on this candle, so that's really nice. And yeah, that's the alert level, 2141 for Solana. Next up is Matic. Matic not quite as bullish as some of the other ones, still trying to find its footing and give us some type of a pattern, which it just doesn't have. One day everything will be zero. We probably just won't be alive to see it. Yeah, it's true. Very true. Tron. So Tron we've been staying on top of and threw an alert yesterday on a nice little flag here. And man, did that thing break out late yesterday. Holy crap. Big breakout. Look at the volume aggregation tool. You got all these plus signs, which are pocket pivots. The selling pressure, though, coming with it, they're taking advantage of that. But Tron able to get up out of a large cup and handle. This is one of the few actual chart patterns in the market. And you can see my lines here. We were following this on the way up. There's a smaller cup and handle for the handle, actually. And then, noticing that volume coming in yesterday through the alert. There you go. We got a move up. This has been an interesting one. It's been extraordinarily choppy. And actually, compared to these moves, this is small potatoes. But it's been extraordinarily choppy and really hard to kind of hold on to. Fundamentally, honestly, I don't really know what's going on with this guy. But, I mean, technically, it's behaving better than 99% of the coins in the market right now. All right, next up is Litecoin. I don't know how to type. Next up is Litecoin, which is doing better. 93.37 alert was broken. We flagged out the past couple of days above it, moved up a little bit today. Not in a bad spot. Look at the volume signature, very good. This is what a pretty good volume aggregation tool looks like. Look at this one. This one pretty much green across the board. And actually, we did look at the accumulation distribution. It was straight up, if you guys remember that. I'll pull it up again for those of you that didn't see it. I think I deleted it, but that accumulation distribution for a Litecoin is aggressive. So we just talked about those horizontals in BTC. I can talk about some horizontals, I guess, here in Litecoin. So breaking out right here on the accumulation distribution kind of starts this whole general uptrend. There definitely is an accumulative cycle here. Unfortunately, it's not super aggressive. You can see we're not making big movements up, but overall, that's not a bad sign to have accumulation distribution doing what it's doing. And we have this larger pattern here, which is an ascending triangle with the 102.59. Make sure that's an active alert, actually. I think I only have one for Litecoin. Yeah, 93.37. So I'm going to make it the 102.59. So that's our new alert, 102.59. We tried at the 95. You can see here we had a nice consolidation. Ran up a little bit, failed at highs. Now we're doing it again, but coming off of a higher low. Also, maybe could be considered a double bottom. I'll steal this trend line real quick. So you have your run up, you have your low, you have your midpoint, you have a lower low. That midpoint becomes your buy point, and we are above it, and volume's looking better. So we're not completely out of the woods, but it looks good. What's up, Rick? Are we officially on a bull run? I think we're starting. I think we're really early, maybe too early, but I do think we're starting. We're right on the cusp. Like we're just trying to get there. But I think the sellers have, for the most part, exhausted themselves. You know, they may have one or two more pushes, but I don't know if it's going to be, you know, this month, next month, later in the year. But I think we have pretty much exhausted majority of the selling pressure, and people are just kind of ready to get back to work. I mean, we've been talking about, you know, recession in the U.S. for frickin' a year now. It's pretty annoying, actually. And now I heard on the radio, we may not get a recession this year, which I've been saying that since the beginning of this year. I'm like, where's our recession? Everyone said recession, fourth quarter of 2022. It never came, and they're still saying it. They're just pushing out the time frame. Oh, it's going to come. Oh, it's going to come. Oh, it's going to come. And it hasn't. So why deal with it? And, you know, it's good to deal with the absolute of what the market's telling you, not with the uncertainty of what the news is telling you. So I think the market's in a good spot. I think there's enough fear out there for there to be value in the market, and I feel like there's enough bullishness for there to be some opportunity in the market. And as those people turn their bear sentiment into bullish sentiment, that ends up fueling the uptrend. And so I think we're in that dynamic now. We've reached the middle point, and we're going to, at some point, everyone's going to be bullish, and, you know, at that point, it'll probably be too late to get in. So I think we're in some pretty good areas, though. Yeah, I mean, and Litecoin putting this in, this is a big structure. Big structures can be catalysts for large moves. It's not a guarantee. Nothing is, but this is an interesting structure. That's why you generally take a multiple position portfolio approach, where you have, in my case, I like to have about 5 positions, 4 to 5 positions. If something's extremely good, I'll limit it down to 1 or 2. But I've gone all in, mainly on Bitcoin. In the stock market, I don't really go all in, but yeah, once you start, this is not the time to go all in on one coin, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, you don't just buy all of your account in Litecoin right now. That's a gamble. But if you're starting to nibble at the good things, if you want to accumulate positions, or if you're just going to be more diligent in looking at the market, that's a good thing too. All right, next up is something where I wrote the wrong timestamp. DOT. DOT 5484 in case this thing breaks out. Let's get the... They took away the double click feature? Oh, no, they didn't. That's fine. Okay. 5.484 yesterday with the big shakeout. Looks like we're attempting to come right back. And we'll see if that breaks out at the 5.484. Shiba Swap. Choppy garbage. It'll have its day. I'm sure, like everything else, whenever Elon says something and it triggers Doge and Doge trickles down to Shiba Swap. But so far, it's really not doing too much. RSI has some divergences on it, but again, it's not really something I think you want to be super aggressive with. You could be, and you can get lucky, but it's not. I don't think it's super actionable. AVAX coming off for the lows. We got a 1496 in case this one wants to go. That would be breaching recent resistance. Atom. Kind of a similar situation. Our alert's a lot higher, though. It has a lot of, you can see we don't have a good horizontal here. I guess I could do it at 1126, but it's not that different from 1148. Still a lower high here. You could use this as a point if you're really looking to get into Cosmos, about the 11 or 1095, give or take, whatever that high is right there from the other day. Once again came back down, tested lows, and the volume keeps declining. So that decreased selling pressure is what I was referring to a little bit ago, showing itself here as the volume is declining as we're sitting on the lows. So this is something like, if you like Cosmos, which is Atom, you could accumulate a little bit down here with a more of a minor stop loss. If we get a good bull run, we're what, $10? It probably will get above this 17, which is 70%. And if we get up here to the breakdown point at about 27.5, that's 270%. That's pretty darn good for a longer term position with a potentially tight stop loss. And inching higher here a little bit. This is not, I think Atom is a quality platform. Nothing wrong with Atom. But again, nothing like major technically getting you in. It's just all these little nuanced signals that, hey, maybe we're done going lower. And the market's leaning bullish and this thing's kind of resting. It's going to do one of two things. It's not going to perform, or if it comes back, it could come back with gusto. Because, Atom's a top 20. I just actually redid my top 20 list today, so it's edging in that top 20. But it's pretty good. Okay. Chainlink, which is pretty sure still choppy garbage. Yeah, still choppy garbage. Can't get out of its own way. Way too big for what it does fundamentally, in my opinion. Yeah, in terms of its market cap at least. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get some good volume increasing at some point. Just not today. And rounding out the top 20 is, starting at the 28-minute mark, Uniswap, which also kind of looks like garbage. But it's tightening up here a little bit. You could put a volatility funnel around these lines with a buy point of the 5.2 and a sell point at the 4.95 if that's something you want to do. But again, I think there's bigger fish to fry. Uniswap is kind of and same with some of these other ones. They're kind of bigger legacy coins. There's not a lot of newness out there at the moment. All right, let's wrap up the top 20. So wrapping up the top 20, things are looking better. We have a few more things coming up off the lows. We still haven't broken down. We just talked about Atom holding near lows yet again. It does need to start curling up at some point, but it hasn't broken down yet. Litecoin moving up a little bit. Here's a good signature. We've got XRP, which has put a cup and handle in place on top of the top part of the range from the inverted head and shoulders move. And just keep going down the list. Ethereum looking a little better. If that breaks out for the 1917, even if it doesn't break out and go up, even if it goes sideways, that's good. BTC, similar situation. This can go sideways for a while. Plenty of room to go. You can go horizontal into our trend line here of July 2nd, which is in about a month. And that would still be good action. We just have to curl up after that. So not in a bad place. Crypto's not ready to launch, but I'm getting ready for it to be ready to launch. It's probably a good way to put it. All right, so no USD pairs here today. And only one BTC pair, as a matter of fact. And then we'll get to stock market. Unless you guys do have anything else you want to talk about, feel free to throw it in chat, bring it up. We'll be happy to do that. But stock market is ripe with opportunity, and I do want to spend a lot of time on that. What up? Cheyenne's in the house. Been a while since I've seen you in YouTube chat. That is Cheyenne, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Ethereum, BTC is the only BTC pair I have. Everything else is still garbage. Yeah, I figured. Okay. I'm gonna say it's been a long time. Making sure I'm remembering names right. 7031. It's his girlfriend. See, now I know you're lying. He can't get a girlfriend. That's now I'm just having fun. It's his girlfriend. It is not his girlfriend. Your girlfriend would have proper capitalization. Learn the fucking shift key, man. It's over there on the left. There's two shift keys. You obviously know how to do the asterisk and the question mark. Come on now. Come on, unless you're on a phone or something. Which could be. I don't know. You're young. Maybe you do everything on the phone. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm calling you out on it. Come on. One day, you're going to have to be a fucking grown-up and capitalize shit. I got I got a kid in 3rd grade, and I got a kid in 7th grade. Yeah, they both suck at it too. So I guess you're still in elementary school. I guess that makes sense. Ethereum. Ethereum. We talked about it getting back up to this trend line here, and we are here. I mean, there's really nothing amazing. You got a small horizontal right here, not a lot of volume. We did get some volume picking up. If you look at the volume aggregation tool on the daily time frame, it does show the sellers are eroding away, and that's what I was talking about earlier. These sellers, I think they're pretty much exhausted. They obviously can get more ammunition if they want to, but I think everyone's ready for the doldrums to be over. And especially with the macro situation kind of calming down a little bit. I think we're in a good spot. And if you look at my 7031, that's pretty close to this high over here. Could be considered a large cup base, which isn't too bad. You got a horizontal, pretty much right at that 7031. I think it is a little bit higher, but I'm just going to leave it there on the trend line. And we're consolidating it right now, that pop-up later yesterday. So not too bad, though. But I'm not mad at the look of this Ethereum chart. You go full screen on this baby, and it is quite impressive, as a matter of fact. Lows in 2019, and we haven't even looked back. We talked for a long time about Ethereum becoming the other Bitcoin, essentially, where it's just of high quality, not as volatile as a lot of the others, and it's kind of meeting that criteria. But huge horizontal here on the BTC chart, the 08253, or whatever that is, 82. So if we can come out of this with a nice bull run, I mean, that could lead back to all-time highs of the 15. So keep in mind, if you buy this, what you're doing is gaining or losing Bitcoin value. That's what this chart implies. So the stability here for such a long period of time, I think, is a pretty cool telling story, as a matter of fact. I really like it. And it looks like some trend lines telling stories here too. So that's not too bad. Yeah, still a lot of room on this one to go. But in all honesty, over the years, I've kind of come to respect the BTC charts less and the USD charts more. And I think that's just because Bitcoin's so volatile, it's harder to get a clean read on the Bitcoin charts. So I do focus more on the USD charts. But if something's really performing against BTC, I'll definitely bring it up. But it's got to be pretty darn quality, and it's much better when the USD chart and the BTC chart look good. So that's another good reason to use the BTC charts, but I digress. Okay, so that's crypto. Pretty much all the crypto, unless there's something else I'm not aware of going on right now. And unless anyone has anything else, I'm going to move into stocks. And we've been on some deep dives lately. So if you want to hang out, feel free. If you don't, I understand that you don't want to make any money. So let's talk about stocks. And it's on my sheet, it's called Stocks and Tesla, because we used to just talk about Tesla, but let's do it. Speaking of Tesla, we're going to lead with Tesla because this motherfucker broke out. This guy broke out. We talked about this. I was kind of late to this pattern, but I caught it a couple of days ago. I'm like, how come I didn't notice this before? There's a huge double bottom pattern right here. Just a massive double bottom pattern. And I don't think it's going to do what it did in 2018, but it is a fully fledged chart pattern. IBD even talked about it, and that's pretty good. Double bottom. You told me about the double bottom? I know you talked about Tesla, but I didn't realize it was a double bottom chart pattern. That's what I'm referring to, that I didn't identify it earlier as a double bottom. But it is trying to break out. Friday's volume is pretty good. I wish it would have closed more towards the high of the day. But if you look at this, you got like 5 straight. The whole week was above average volume, which is pretty good. Yeah. Well, good job, Aram. Good job. Yeah, so I went a little more aggressive. I know you and I, Aram, said I was probably going to sell 10% of my Tesla position, and I did. I sold 10% of my Tesla position, and I bought some options for Tesla. Nothing extraordinarily aggressive, but enough to make it worthwhile. So I think my target was 350, which is pretty aggressive. I'll have to double check what that was actually. See if I can get my spreadsheet back up here. It's still not giving me the shortcut. Okay. Give me a second, because I think I did put it on the spreadsheet. And I was asking you about the Nvidia trade because apparently I didn't put the the Soxhole trade on the spreadsheet. I couldn't remember. I couldn't really remember what it was. Um, okay, so let me see here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, 350 was my target. I think that's pretty aggressive though. 350 is a target at this moment. I think that's pretty darn aggressive, but I can't remember what that was based off of. Was it a measured move? Could have been. And no, that's even more aggressive. Oh, that's past the all-time highs. Hey, what up, Pedro? How you doing, man? But I think that's good. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think it was just where my trend line ended up. Because I had this thing out to like November. Yeah, it's just where my trend line ended up. That's what it was. So I did get a little bit too aggressive. But my break-even point on this contract is... Where's my strike? It's like 230 or 240 or something like that. So it's not a bad break-even. 230, 240. And if it rallies sooner, I'll still make more money than I would on the traditional stock. But I did sell 10% of that to get a little bit of juice. I did buy more of the Apple trade, and let me pull up my positions actually, because I think I bought more Apple. And I did buy Soxhole. Of course, we already knew about the Soxhole trade. And there's a lot of stocks right now that are setting up extraordinarily nicely. Yeah, 190. Okay, so about the 190, yes, it's like 135. And then about the Apple 180 for a year out. The Apple option, yeah, it's the June. I bought the June 180. I thought it was a 190, but I guess it's the 180. Well, to get more, it should be in your trades, your history and stuff. You should just be able to add to it. Yeah, but I've got the June 2024 180 calls is what I've got. And I added to them a little bit late. So I had a really small position in them to start with because I didn't have a lot of cash. And then I did that 10% liquidation. So I added to the Apple. Yeah, I'm only up 3%. I was up like 10%, but I'm only up 3% right now. And then I bought Tesla. Yeah, Tesla. So that's good. So, but yeah, Tesla broke out. We identified down here the super heavy volume, which is right here. Before we broke out to the upside, we identified the super heavy volume. Did take some good long-term positions down there. Still have those, and now I'm increasing my exposure with options. So what's going to happen if this does get to 350 by November? And I don't know. It's not my favorite trade. I'll be honest with you. My feel for the options isn't what they were a few years ago when I was having my really big run. So I'm trying to get a little bit of the feel back. I'm also trying to be a little less aggressive so I can be a little more even keeled in my head. And that's an adjustment I need to make as well. So there's that. But I think Tesla is done going down also. And look at how, this is such a good run here. Such an exemplary run. And then a huge double bottom base. Pretty good breakout. Not ideal breakout. You want like 40% above average volume. This was 25% above average volume. But it's pretty good. You got like 4 or 5 days in a row, even prior to the breakout of heavier volume. So I'm liking what Tesla's doing here. And all the EV, I was looking at the EV makers. I'll pull up my my stock portfolio thing here. And I've got a list. Back in the day when we were doing a lot of this, we have a list of electric revolution stocks. And here I'll bring out the weekly chart. I'll maximize the weekly chart here for you guys. I'll just go down the list. Look how horrible all these little companies have performed. Look at this thing. I forget what half of these do, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that's about. Oh, that's a mining company. This is another lithium mining company. Remember back like 3 years ago, everyone and their mother's like, "Oh, lithium mining is gonna be blah blah blah." I'm like, yeah, don't get your panties in a bunch. These things really haven't done anything. ALB, I'm not sure what that is. That could be another mining company. Looks like they got a long history. So this is 2021 here. This is 2022 here. XPEV, which was a smaller one, pretty much all-time lows. This is Volkswagen. I think VLKAF. I think that is Volkswagen. Not 1,000,000% sure. Could be wrong about that. ABC ABC correction. Yeah, it's also called on Tesla. You're talking about Tesla chart, Rom? Yeah, yeah, it's also considered a double bottom. I go by the double bottom rules. Just what I do. GM was doing okay a couple of years ago. Not so much right now. Here's AYRO, garbage. SQM, I don't even know what this is. Looks like another mining play maybe. It's been around since 2004. And Tesla, well off the lows, definitely not at the highs. And this is not a log chart. This is a linear chart, I believe, which is why it's so crazy. Ford, Nikola. Remember Nikola over here, guys? It was like, oh, it's going to come back. I'm like, no, sell the fucking thing. Yeah. Yeah. Here's Nikola. With tons of volume now for some reason, but no upside movement in this stock chart. So you're pretty much stuck with, here's Workhorse. FUV, which this is also electric manufacturer. Market cap 12 million. Ugh. LI. NIO. Here's NIO. Remember NIO? Oh, I made a shitload of money on NIO on this run. Just a monstrous amount of money. There's one of my long-term turnaround plays. There's an IPO breakout. We talk about that with ICOs and crypto as well. This one went like gangbusters. I should have made a lot more, but hey, I did really well. Can't complain too much. But yeah, look at it now. Insane. It's way back to, almost back to the all-time breakout level of like the $3. Crazy. We've got videos on this from 2020. If anyone ever feels like spending 10 minutes trying to find it. I don't even know what this is, but that doesn't look good. Blink, this is EV chargers. That doesn't look good either. Solo, they make little cars. That doesn't look good either. It is. So people think stocks aren't volatile. They are wrong. Stocks are freaking volatile. But okay, so here's a good example. The reason I brought this up is to show how good Tesla is doing in relation to everything else. Like, no, it's not an all-time highs, but for crying out loud, like, it's in a good spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in a really good spot and good volume behind it. There's a lot of sponsorship. It's just, and they're still selling millions and millions of cars. So, but all of these, people are going to hold NIO forever. Like, come on, you can't. You just can't do it. And I'll be honest. I made the mistake. I held Tesla too long. I fell in love with the company. I held it for too long. My account should be double, 2.5 times what it is right now, 150% more than what it is right now because I held too long. Because I fell in love with the stock and I got stupid in the head. I got, just for my personal trading. I don't tell you guys all the positions I take and stuff like that for those reasons. But yeah, like I should have more money in my account right now by a lot. At least, yeah. At least, what do I got right now? Yeah. Oh yeah, should have a lot more than this. Hey, what's up, Ted? How you doing, bud? But anyway, so Tesla's coming back, and it's one of the few that is coming back. Most everything else is kind of still stuck in the doldrums. Ford can't put it together. GM obviously can't put it together. NIO obviously can't put it together. And you have to keep in mind, I think, another thing too that people forget. People just think a chart is a chart. What a chart represents is what smart money thinks of your investment. That's what a chart actually represents. People just think a chart is a chart. But you're actually looking at the movement of big money. And what moves a stock or a crypto? It's big money. So if you find healthy chart patterns, healthy action, bottoming patterns, it's the big money sponsorship, and big money continually buys. And that's the whole thing. It's not just NIO's low, so I'm going to buy it. That's the dumbest fucking thing in the world. It may work out for you once or twice, but it's traders have all kinds of problems, Aram. I've got buying problems, selling problems, holding problems, cashing problems. I've got all kinds of problems. 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one, actually. But yeah, so you're looking at market sponsorship, and then when you notice, something like a Tesla, which is just different from everything else. It's just it's good to pay attention to stuff like that. All right, so let's keep going down this list here a little bit. So Apple, most of you are not informed of Apple, but we put on. You can still do this if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not telling you to do it. That way you can't sue me when you lose money because you mishandle it, like me and Aram are talking about, and Ted too. Stupid trading, yeah, stupid trading. We are all there, Ted. Yeah, the key is that longer term thinking is for guys like us is really the key, in my opinion, is the longer term thinking. So real quick primer to this Apple trade. Apple goes in these large declining patterns. I'll zoom out so we can see more of it. A lot of stuff going on here. So it goes in these large declines, it breaks out of the declines, and then it usually goes on a nice run. This one ran 71% over 377 days. This one ran 116% over 756 days. This one runs 239% over 833 days. And so we have a trade on, at least I've got a trade on, I think Aram does too, for Apple to get 50% higher, which would put us at 253. And we have options that give us the possibility for a 538% gain. Actually, no, I didn't buy that one. I think it was this one. I think mine, shoot, I don't know what the exact, I have to do the math on it, but it's I think like 350%. It's not, I don't think it's that aggressive because this was with a higher strike price. Anyway, the point of the money is, the point of the matter is that it's slowly working. And Apple is edging towards all-time highs here. So that's pretty good. Can you check how the indicators on Apple on the previous run-ups? Well, the good thing here, I mean, we can look at the VA tools looking healthy. RSI is elevating. And it's just been chopping up on the highs or something like that. Yeah, this is the daily. So out of the last breakout here, we broke up here and came down, and then the RSI is an interesting indicator. And then here's COVID, so we don't count COVID. That would have been a lot more stable. But so obviously that messed with the RSI. We don't know what it would have done. Volume aggregation tool doing a little bit. It's mostly green during this time. If you avoid the lines and look at the vertical bars here, it's mostly green. So that's a good sign. One previous to that. Let's look at RSI. I didn't look at RSI. So on the breakout here, you're not getting divergences. Mostly with RSI traders, they look for divergences and they look for, if you're really low or really high. Those are the things they're looking at. During this run, we just kind of came up and retested this 50 level and then came up again, retested it, and then COVID happened. So, it gets really extended on a couple occasions. And ours looks like this a little bit, like we're chopping up and then we popped up. Could we reverse hard? We can always reverse hard. We can always do it, but Apple tends to come back. It's almost incapable of having huge prolonged downtrends just because of how it manages all of its cash and stock buybacks. So here on the one previous to that, RSI had some negative divergences here. You had lower highs in the RSI, higher highs in the stock. That's a bearish divergence. Then you had a little correction here. This formed a cup and handle. And then you have a breakout here, and we got really elevated on the RSI. And it's funny, look at this RSI coming down, but the price is basically going up. The reason is because that's how aggressive this was, and this is just not as aggressive. So even if you're going up not aggressively, the RSI can come in a little bit. So a pretty interesting dynamic to the RSI that I'm not, and that's 2 months. That's kind of 2 months of choppy sideways action. So this option that I've bought and you've bought separately via our own mental capacities, we're going to have to suffer through that. And that's a little tough. You know what I mean? That can be a little bit tough because, and we talked about this when I was going through the option plan, is essentially, we're going to go through times where the option may not be performing, but then one day it'll get all of its performance in like the last little bit. Like this here, boom, the option, I guarantee, doubled in price probably here, where here it probably cut in price a little bit, even though we didn't, we were moving up a little bit. And then this probably would have chopped the price down by a third. And then, maybe coming back up, you would have got to break even point. You were over here. So even exiting the option, Aram, we talk about exiting problems. And that's what I said the other day. You're really active in here and I appreciate that. I'm going to, hold me accountable and I'll hold you accountable. Like, hey, this option, we're like 200% up and we've only been in this thing 2 months. Do we sell this? Those are frank discussions that do need to be had in the moment. And I've had those discussions with myself, and sometimes I took it, and sometimes I didn't. And it's kind of 50-50 which one works. The conclusion I came to with back testing, and this was several years ago, as a matter of fact, is that if my option was up over 100%, my stop loss in my option should be 100%. Because if I'm up over 100% in my option, that's a really good trade. Why let that even evaporate? Why let that go from 150% down to 75% in the hopes it goes to 200%? You know what I mean? So I may choose to take profit in this sooner. It may not hit that full target, but it depends on the market situation. It depends on how it's pulling back. It does depend on a number of factors. But, like in this situation, the run that happened here in Apple is going to add a lot of value to that option, where a lot of this chop, you may have to wait 4 or 5 months to get back to that break-even point just because of how vertical this was. Because the way that options are priced is they take volatility into account. So this is like straight vertical almost. You got a little bit of fluff here for about a month, but straight vertical. And then if you're up 200-300% in an option, that's really not bad. So for instance, actually recently I did this in AMD. I had an AMD option. This is my best trade percentage wise probably ever. And let me pull it up. Let's see when I bought it and when I sold it. Unfortunately, it was not a large position size, but it was okay. Sell canceled, sell executed. So I sold on 323. So I sold. Oh yeah, see, that was a really good sell. This is what I'm talking about. Like I just sold because it was just too crazy. So it's that topping day. Wow, that's when I sold it. Look at me. And then let me go. I got to go to the other page. There's no other page. Oh, that's in the last 90 days. So I don't have when I bought it. That's only 90 days. Okay, I got to find out when I bought this thing. Yeah, shoot. And now I got to find history some other way. How do I find trading history? This may take a second. Transactions. What a stupid way to... That's pretty stupid. Transactions. Transaction type. Sold to close. Okay, so that's the 23rd. And bought to open. 113. So I bought it. So I sold it here. And then I bought it here. Oh, wow. This will be a good this would be good, Aram. Okay. So this is actually exactly what I was talking about. What was my option I bought? I bought it April. So it would have already expired. So that's why I sold it. But yeah, so I can't, like, I didn't buy this for a year. I only bought it for April. But this is kind of an example where, it looks like it's good, but I was up so much. I'm like, I just have to take this fucking profit. And so I took it, and then, so let's see what it expired at. Okay. So I bought it for, and this is not quite a brag. I just do this for educational purposes, but this is going to be a brag. It was a pretty damn good trade. Bought it by 5 AMD for 1245. Whoops. And then I sold it over here for sold to close. Wait, that's where I sold it. Oh. Jeez. Okay, this goes over here. Yeah, look at this bitch. Ah, that's more than I thought. No, that's about right. It's about 800%. This is probably like my most profitable options trade, percentage wise, not dollar wise, but percentage wise. So, okay. So, and this was on March. So, this is a good example of how the option stuff can work. You just kind of have to take profits. 323.23. Okay. And it expired on, it was April 21st. Okay. So, it had like almost another month on it, right? So again, we bought the Apple call for a year, is over a year actually, because we couldn't get a strike date right on the year. And let's say it goes up in 6 months and we're up just stupid amounts. Like, do we take the profit? Well, that was, I'm just gonna call it luck. I didn't know that was gonna be the topping day, but obviously I knew I was up a shitload. Let's see what it closed at. Let's see what it closed. I'm gonna look it off the screen here so I can reference back. And we're gonna go to AMD. And we're gonna go to, let's go the day before, April 20th. I'll pull it on the screen here in a second. And April 20th, April 21st. So this is the day before. And it was what was the strike on it? $90. It was $90. Okay, so I gotta find the $90. No fucking way. Oh wow. So okay, so here's $90. So it actually kind of closed underneath the 90. So it went to zero. Holy shit. Okay. Well, not quite to zero. Apparently it closed at 90.87. Holy shit. I never realized that. It would have expired being worth 80. I would have lost money on this trade if I didn't sell it. Oh, that's the wrong thing I was pulling out. What was I trying to pull out? Everything's black now. It's hard to see what's what. So, yeah, talk about getting lucky on that one. Let's just chalk that one up to luck, ladies and gentlemen. So, here's the 90 call, April 21. Here's April 21. This is the day before. If I go to the next day, yeah, it did expire worthless because it did dip down below. So, this is almost the perfect example of why we should sell greedily. And especially for me, I'm such a perfectionist. When I enter these things, I almost, and I don't do this purposefully, but I try to Nostradamus the shit and try to be like, okay, where's it going to be? And then what's the best trade? That's how I set up these trades. And obviously, you're not going to get them all right. Obviously, you don't know the future. But you have to make certain decisions when you put on an options trade like this. And so, we're all playing Nostradamus a little bit, and we have to do that. But, yeah, so if we're up in Apple and we're up really good in Apple, and yeah, maybe we'll sell aggressively. You know what I mean? So let's look at it. Let's look at it here. Let's look at it on March 30th. The same one, just a few days later. Just a week later. Let's look at March 30th. $970. So still a good trade at night right here. But you weren't really close to breaking even. And the price difference here is only 2.5%. And you go from 1245 to 970, which is a pretty good haircut, So selling aggressively. Hey, what up, Mike? Going to the beginning? Okay. I'll see you in a little bit. So, selling aggressively, if you have a monster profit, is a why, especially with options. And especially with options, because look at that erosion that just happened. Like, think of that. If I bought here and sold, and that was 40%, I made 800%. And then just a few days later, I would have been up 25%, but my option was worthless. And so that's the dichotomy of, am I even trading options? Because that's ridiculous, just to be honest with you. Like, but this has to do with the expiration date that I chose. Like, obviously, if I would have chosen like a June expiration or a November expiration, if I were if I gave myself more time, this wouldn't have been the dynamic, right? And so this is why I say with options, you've got about a 25% chance of success with any given trade, because so many things can go wrong. So many things can go wrong. And this is actually a great example of what can go wrong. Even though the stock goes up 25%, guess what? You lost everything. This is a great example of that, because you chose the wrong month or the wrong strike, whatever the case may be. So you've got to nail when you buy it. You got to make sure there's enough profit. You've got to make sure you pick the right strike price. You got to make sure you pick the right expiration date. And you've got to make sure it's worth your while to even take the risk. There's so many factors you've got to get right. And even if you get it all right, like let's say I held this to expiration. I was up 800%, but I still held it to expiration. Well, then you have to ask yourself, why didn't I take profits earlier? And it took me a while to come to that realization, as a matter of fact. So I'll tell you my backstory, just because I'm thinking about it. This was my thought process behind me getting into options to begin with, because I only started getting into options in like 2016, 2017. Before I was trading straight chart, right? I was just trading the stock and the chart. And Investors Business Daily rules say you take profits when you're up 20 to 25%. And then I learned about options, and I'm like, okay, well, shoot, if I'm in an option while it's going up 20%, what if I just take profits at 40%? Then I can double my performance per IBD's historical, whatever, metrics. I'm like, I could do double what IBD does, which is generally about 15 to 20% a year. I'm like, I could do, double that. I could do about 30 to 40% a year. And then it just dove down this rabbit hole of me using technical analysis and options to, do what we do today. And but that's where it started. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take really good profits. And I kind of forgot that a little bit. And I get, it's easy to get caught up in the minutia of, oh, it's going to go to, like I just said with Tesla, it's going to go to 350. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it gets to 300. Maybe it gets there sooner, and you just take a really good profit and then find another one. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I did with a lot of success in between like 2017 and maybe it's 2018. I don't remember anymore. And then 2021. I kind of fucked myself in 2021 and 2022. The reason I'm pulling up this chart is I can tell you exactly when I got started, because this is one of my first big trades. So yeah, 2017 right there. It's my long-term turnaround setup right there. YY. Bam. I'll always remember that trade. That's what got me started, is this chart actually. So anywho's it, so this is a potential future for us, Aram. We could have a good run. It could just keep going, and we may have to sell a little bit earlier, which is fine. As long as we take out a good profit, it's a win. And that's all we're here for, is for win. So if we go into all-time highs on Apple, if we do keep this trajectory, then we will be up, and it will be good, and we'll try to take a good profit, because the point of this is just to sell to make a profit. That's the whole point of what we're fucking doing, and we always forget about it. At least sometimes I do. So anyway, Apple trade going okay. It's not up that much right now. That's your first trade. Well, you know what? I hope it's a good one, and it's on a good stock. It doesn't get much better than Apple, and we're not super aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Like, we bought a 180 call. I don't know if you got the 180 or the 190, but it's not that far away, and it's what did I bought it on this one? I bought it for $1.18. Oh, and I bought a 260. Oh, this is pretty aggressive. Oh, this is my other account. Never mind. Let me go to my other account. Yeah. So my E-Trade account, which is where I have a majority of my money, is that one I have the 180, and I paid $22 for it. So my break even is, and I have over a year for this to happen, is $202.65. So up here. So if we get into all-time highs, we should be good. And if you look at this kind of rectangle I've drawn out for this trade, my break-even point, which I think is, which is probably very similar to yours, I think we have similar entries, is, what did I say, 202? Like right there. Which is pretty neat, actually. Yeah, it's not a bad time, Ted. And in all honesty, like we talk a lot about the TQQQs. You don't have to go the options route, Ted, to be honest with you, because it's really tough. If all you did was invest in the TQQQ, I think you would do fine, because that's triple the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq average is like 12% a year. And we'll look at the TQs in a little bit here, because I do want to do some research on that now that we're like fully fledged back in a good market. So here's that kind of break even. And one thing interesting about this time horizon, and I haven't done any back research on this, but I just have a feeling that if your break even point on these options is in the first half of this rectangle, right? Because here's our rectangle, and let's say that's our first half of the rectangle. Actually, I could probably figure out exactly where half is. Something like that, right? Because if I duplicate it, I should be able to hit the line. Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can see I'm in the first half of the rectangle, implying that I have all this extra time available for this option to get up here. So I feel that it's a little bit, it's not an aggressive play, especially for the return. It's really not that aggressive. So, but yeah, we're nudging at all-time highs here too with the stocks. So that's a good thing. And then you have something like Nvidia, obviously in all-time highs. This holding up really well. Here's the all-time high for Nvidia. This obviously is an all-time. So if Apple joins Nvidia in all-time highs, that could be really good, especially if Apple keeps going. Nvidia is inching up little by little, and Apple seems to have taken on a nice little move up here. So I think we're in a good spot. And I was actually watching Investors Business. You guys can watch this if you want. Actually, if you have time, I would. As a matter of fact, see if I can find it. I think it's just here on the homepage. Yeah, right here. Just watch this video from IBD. I think it's like 15 minutes long or something, but make sure it's the right video, actually. They say a lot of good things about the market, and they talked about breadth and how breadth was coming into the market, and it wasn't just tech led. We'll look through some of the indexes as that ad plays. And you remember what we were talking last time? We talked about the Russell, and remember we talked about the Russell still low but wanting to break out. Look what this damn thing did. It freaking broke out on Friday. It broke out like it just did what we asked it to do. We're like, hopefully the Russell can, get some momentum and break this level. And that's and they talk about it actually. And the Dow Jones did the same thing, which I don't know if I have the Dow Jones in here actually, but the transportation almost did something similar. Transportation index. Russell did something similar. The S&P fully broke out. Nasdaq is not going. It's not as strong as these are today, but look at the strength it has had. So it's really good. All right, let's see if this is the guy. Yeah, this is the video. I don't know if I can link directly to the video. Let's see. I think you have to go to their website. There we go. Okay, so the videos, it's right there at the top, but it's 15 minutes long. And he talks a lot. This guy's really good. Him and I have very similar thoughts on a lot of these things. I think some of his charts he thinks are really bullish. I'm not super happy with. Oh, speaking of which, give me a minute. I'll be right back. When I was watching this video, I did make note of a few names, and I do want to go over a few names because the market is getting really good. So, and I don't want to miss out. So I'm doing this for me, not you guys, but feel free to watch. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. I'll refill my water, and I'll grab my list. All right, I'm back. I got my list. Let me flip to it. It's a decent list too. There we go. Not too bad. So, all right. All right. Any other individual stocks we need to go over? Let's go over some of these individuals and then we'll hit the list. We won't take too long on this. Someone did ask about DXY, so we will let's look at DXY real quick too. So let's do. So we talked about the indexes. The S&P breaking out is really good sign. I think the Russell breaking out. If the Russell stays broken out, now keep in mind it's not a real breakout. It's a lower consolidation. But if the economy's on the back on the up and up, which it kind of appears to be, then this may continue to go up. If you're looking for exposure to this, TNA is the 3 times ETF for the Russell 2000. If you want exposure to this, and it's got 254% back to all-time highs, which kind of is a bit of a hard ceiling for that. So we shall see. But this, what's the RSI say about that? It's got to be some divergences there. Kind of a, not really. So that could get interesting. Transportation, Apple. I'll just go down the list real quick. Apple's healthy. The Russell's the small cap index, so it deals with stocks under like whatever market cap. Russell 2000 criteria, 300 million and 2 billion in market cap. So they're smaller market cap companies, and they don't. So Apple's not in there. In other words, these are companies that can have a harder time during hard economic times because they don't have a lot of pricing power. They don't have a lot of. I mean, they can finance themselves, but they're not as aggressive, and they don't have huge cash reserves. But they do good when the economy's good. Microsoft. We haven't talked a lot about Microsoft, but it's put in a good trend. There's its declining trend line. Tesla, as we know, is just starting to break out here out of the double bottom. So hopefully that will continue on its rally. And this is my trend line I've got. And I'm way too aggressive with that one. I think I may have to rethink this position. Amazon had a couple of really good days in the past couple of weeks. Look at this day, May 26th. That is a blockbuster day. Look at that's like almost 40-50% average volume. Huge up day. Really clearing away from this large cup and handle that it formed over here. Square trying to bounce back a little bit. ExxonMobil near a low, could be a good entry point for a play back up to the 117 level. Gold unable to continue on with the Fed pausing kind of interest rate hikes right now. Silver similar situation. Backblaze, love the company, hate the stock. AI, this thing is just volatile. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did say you had some Amazon. I'm not mad at Amazon. This thing is, look at all the selling happening though. This thing cannot sustain anything. Just avoid this. I lost a lot of money on this false breakout right there. AMD, gapping up with the chip stocks, on the back of the NVIDIA earnings, but not a lot of momentum quite yet. NVIDIA, holding, kind of having a hard time holding the 400 level here, but I have a feeling it'll get the job done in time. And the DXY, someone mentioned the DXY, and I think they just mentioned the DXY. They didn't necessarily say much about it. Let me see here. Oh, the DXI is an interesting position when you get around to talking about it. Oh, yeah, Loopy was talking about it. If Loopy's still here. Yeah, I don't know. Currencies are tough. And I'm not really. I think we're just going to be stable. I don't think there's a lot of trades available, at least for what I do. You know what I mean? It's too stagnant in this consolidation. There's no real breakouts occurring. All right, let's take a look at Coinbase. Coinbase, oh yeah, we have an inverted head and shoulders on Coinbase. A little bit of volume stepping in here, nothing amazing, but we could start, if the market's good, maybe Coinbase will get a reversal. Not my favorite one. I mean, from a fundamental perspective, I do not think this is a leading stock. Earnings still lost money, but better by 76%. I don't think they necessarily have accelerated earnings. Revenue 772 from 629, 590, 800, 1.6. So they're actually declining in revenue. So I don't know. I mean, technically it's not too bad. Fundamentally, I wouldn't touch it. Oh, you know what? I didn't address. Shoot. I feel bad about this. I forgot. I was just excited to talk to you guys today. William O'Neill, the founder of Investors Business Daily, died last week. And I don't know if they still have it on his front page. They should keep it there for a month. It's gone. Sons of bitches. It should be up here, right here, where this ad is. It should be right here. William O'Neill died. Makes me sad. Makes me very sad. Anyway, on with the show. Coinbase Sentinel-1. I'm not familiar with that one. AI is a choppy mess, Dreamcar. It is a choppy mess. You're gonna have to hold and pray on that one. Yeah, we just looked at it as a matter of fact. It's so I actually bought it right here on the breakout, and then a short seller report came out and destroyed my position. But even here, breaking out again on the back of the Nvidia thing and everything AI going right now, it's holding above here, but it's just really choppy. It's something I'm interested in. I've been bitten by it, and not that really scares me too much, but I just don't like its behavior. It's able to come down too far, and there's not a lot of earnings with it. You know, the earnings really aren't spectacular. They're not jumping by leaps and bounds necessarily. 30% is good. 70% is really good. This one 23%. So they're not really that stable. More stability, I think, is needed for this to be a good play. But I mean, in a nutshell, looking at it from this perspective, that's good. So if you're gonna buy it, I think you're just gonna have to hold it for a while, I think. All right, let's get to my list, and I'm just gonna write them down right here. You guys can do what you want with this list. We'll go over this. Okay. And I probably don't even know what half this crap is. I took a few notes, though. This is a regional banking ETF. So the banks obviously got hit, came down a bunch, and there could be a rebound play, at least up 32% to the 56 level. Because so these are stocks that I heard on this Investors Business Daily, on that link that I posted up above in this video. I watched it yesterday and wrote this little list. So here's it's just a possibility. It's nothing, nothing crazy. But even getting down to this breakdown point here, the 56, or even a little bit higher to the 60 level, that's not too bad. That's possible. You've got RSP. Here's another Invesco S&P equal weight ETF. Huge volume. A lot of these are basically volume plays as well. Trend line break here. We're already in a higher low situation. So if the market's going to get good from here on out, these are some potential plays, some ETFs, and there's some individual names here as well. Nothing you have to hyper focus on unless something really grabs your attention, I don't think. XME. This is a metal and mining ETF. Just opportunities. So I've got that. He had a different trend line, obviously. It looks like he had this one. Yeah. Again, big volume stepping in here. A lot of these are big volume plays, and these can indicate, early stage accumulation. You look at this run right here. This is the first big volume day. It goes on a nice run. This could go on a nice run. These are just potentials. XLI, This is an industrial one. Again, huge volume, gapping up, closing at the high of the day. And in an interesting point as well. You know, could be basing to break that and going on potentially a run. I don't know. We'll see. Geez, look at the COVID on this guy. Crazy. So some of these aren't my super favorite. Lennar, home builder. Monster volume, kind of a rebound. This was a play off of moving averages, as a matter of fact. This was a break up through the 50-day moving average here. On a playback, it's a little bit extended to get involved. Up about 3% from the 50-day. If it pulls back a little bit, it could be good. Lennar broke out of a cup and handle here. And came back and retested the cup and handle. So here's your cup. Here's your handle. Breakout. Came back. Only went up 9%. Came back. Could form a base on base. You never know what's going to happen. But Lennar not in a bad spot. DXCM. This one's interesting. I forget what this guy does, but this has a big base on it. I thought it was interesting. I just wanted to look at this one. I don't even know what the hell this does. Oh, wrong one. Healthcare, medical devices. EPS this year 57%, next year 37%, not too bad. Market cap 45 billion, so definitely not a small stock. Gross margin 64, profit margin 9.7. EPS. Apparently William O'Neill made up the EPS. I did not know that until after he passed. Go William O'Neill. So that's an interesting one. I mean, this thing can have a few runs too. Here's actually here's another horizontal it had. You know, if it broke out, it's kind of a while to get going, but. And then CXM. Now that I have a second look at these, some of these aren't my favorites. I'd rather just stick with what we already talked about. Good volume here. Looks like another IPO. Another IPO. So, yeah, I still like our stocks better. Those are okay. I think some of those ETFs could be interesting. Although I do like the leverage ETFs. Let's look at that. Let's look at the TQs to round it up. Unless you guys had any questions or I didn't address anything. One thing I did want to look about with the TQs, and I'll keep these moving averages up here. I didn't do a good job of timestamping this stock segment. Sorry, guys. One thing with the TQs is that I was thinking about doing something similar like what we do with Apple. Once this thing kind of susses itself out, what kinds of runs does this thing go on? Because let's keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the TQQ, very likely the best performing asset almost of all time. I'm just going to say it. Like, try to find a better performing asset than the TQQQ. I'm legitimately gonna say that. This thing is just monster. Absolute monster. So, what is that? 25,000%. So let's go find a stock. I'm just gonna write that number down. And you know, we do all this work, and I think it's really good to do all the work. But from 2011, let's find something else that goes up fucking 25,000%. Like, that's not a made up number. That's right here. I mention with people all the time about this shit. Oh, and my brother-in-law actually kind of got a promotion. He works in the treasury of a bank. He does transactions of $60 million a shot. He does big trades right now. But he's like, I'm like, yeah, no, I like this TQ. I like holding these TQs in bull markets. And he goes, I was just lighting your money on fire, man. I'm like, and he just walks away. I'm like, I'm not going to argue with the man, but I'm like, hey, if this is lighting my money on fire, let's get some more matches up in this bitch. 25 grand. Yeah. See, not even close, Ted. I don't even think. Maybe Tesla. Tesla started about the same time. Ooh, Tesla, 40,000%. Oh, there you go, Ted. 40,000%. And then Amazon? Amazon, not since 2011. It won't be that aggressive. I don't even know if it's. Oh, yeah, I guess it has done pretty damn good. 2011. Let's find it. 2011. What's this one? 2010. Let's go right here. 2,200%. That's what I'm saying. There's not a lot. There's not a lot that goes up like that. There's just not a lot. So let's go 2011. That is 1,500, 1,450%. So, yeah, Tesla would be the one. Tesla would be the one to beat that. So, but that's why I was telling you, Ted. Like, if it's just the TQs, bud. If it's just the TQs, like this is monster. 73%, 116%, 239%. Oh, that's Apple. I wanted to do something similar like what we did on Apple in the TQs. What is the run that this thing goes on after it breaks out? So I don't know. Here's a breakout. Now this is a weekly. I mean, there's going to be a lot more different breakouts in this, but 240%. Now keep in mind this is the Nasdaq. I'm going to include 2000 cuz forget it. Obviously this one was fueled by a lot of stuff, but now these are like all-time high breakouts. If you take trend line breakouts, we could take this trend line breakout. This is a trend line breakout before another big consolidation. That's a big consolidation. That's a big consolidation. So where's this one going to go? We got 612, 332, 465. I mean, let's just duplicate this bitch right here just for fun. 200 moving average will be resistance. Oh, right here on the weekly? Maybe. Yeah. But, you know, you would agree though that the low is in. Like I think the low is in. Like just it's in. But yeah, so I mean for a pretty safe return, which is excellent, these are not bad returns. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are not bad returns. You go to Apple and we're looking at 50%. We're looking at 50% for Apple. This is what, and whatever 50% Apple gets, if it gets it, I mean, this could potentially triple that as long if Tesla stays healthy. And let's look at our mega caps. What mega cap isn't healthy right now? I'm not going to flip it, but we just looked at Apple right near all-time highs, Microsoft on the way up, Tesla on the upswing, Amazon broke through resistance finally. Those are your big ones. And obviously Nvidia's an all-time highs, and that's like a top 5 market cap stock right now. So what is not rocking at the moment? Once we get the breadth coming in the market, the TQs will really come to life, even as some of these stall out a little bit. But this is really an asset that is kind of a godsend to little guys like us, where you can make a good return. So my runs kind of started in like mid 2016 or 2017. I guess it was 2017. You know, like 367% if I would have just held from 2017 to today. Obviously, at the peak it would have been 1,000%. Which I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about this, my benchmark was the TQQQ. Really? And it's at, so at my peak I was well over 1,000%. Well over 1,000%. It was like 5 times 1,000%. More than that even. And then now 339. Yeah, I'm well over 339 with my trading. So I guess I can't be mad at not just holding the TQs and actually trading. But still, you know, not too many people since 2017 have done, 339%. You know, we can look at, I'm going to add the TQs to this list actually. Yeah, I guess I'll just put it up here. Um, it's a Roth IRA. Yeah, you can't invest in the TQs in a 401k. They don't let you do that shit. I need to pull money out actually and put it into the TQs. Um, but yeah, let's look at the Nasdaq by itself from 2017, middle of 2017. Just a reference for me, you know, 159% with 200% at the highs. And let's look at most people benchmark the S&P 500, right? So mid 2017, give or take right here, 82% with a high of 100%. So this is your normal average person. This is what they want. This is what my brother-in-law wants. He wants this. And I get it. And I'm not mad at him. The dude's super nice. He's really, really nice. He's not a bad guy at all. But, you know, and what I told him, I'm like, hey, dude, in your tax bracket, because he's got to make really good money. I'm like, dude, in your tax bracket, I get it. You got to keep your money safe. I'm like, in my tax bracket, I gotta take an edge to get up. You know, I gotta take that edge to get up there. Look at 200 moving average, how holding it on the weekly on the S&P. Yeah, it's like a trend. Yeah, it kind of is, huh? Kind of is. Yeah, especially since '08. '08 really cut the whole market in half. Yeah, I never thought about that. Look at the. I wish we had more time than this. We could see if the 200 still did that. But yeah, you're right. Somehow it's working pretty good. The Nasdaq gets extended though, and it got supported too. We did undercut, but anyway, so you go from 100% for the S&P to as much as um, 1,000% for the TQs. 10x performance gain, which obviously got to hold through some BS right there, but it's not an option. It's not going to go to zero on you. Um, and plus you're adding cash the entire time, right? See, that's the other thing is that you're constantly adding cash. The more cash you can add, the earlier, obviously, the better. And I think we're early in this cycle. So if you start adding cash right now into the TQs or some other type of an index fund, it's just the better you're going to do because I do think we're finally on the upswing again, which is one of the reasons public here is I do think we're on the upswing and, it's going to take us some time to get back up to highs. Until this 200 starts curling up again. Maybe we keep a similar trajectory. Who knows? And whenever we start curling up again, 2030, we're up at, I don't know, there's 3,000% in 32. If it keeps the same trajectory, I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And that's 10 years from now. Wow, they gave us 10 years worth of years on the chart now. That's pretty neat. Used to not do that. So obviously that's a long-term view, but that's 3,000% without adding additional capital. That's 3,000%. So if you start running numbers on that stuff, I'll pull up my spreadsheet here. You start running numbers like you got, obviously 10,000. Time that would be a 30 fold is 300,000, but then if you start adding cash on top of that, then it's just, I'd have to pull out a compound. It's just, the compound interest calculators are funny. I think I have one here that I like. Compound interest calculator. Got it here somewhere. Anyway, it ends up being like really, really good money. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the excitement of trading and trying to really master what we do rather than just making money. So, let's say you got 10,000 monthly contribution. Say you can put let's just say $500 a month. Let's say you got that cash. You're doing 500. Length of time in years, we got 10 years into 3032. Interest rate. So what? 24% for the TQs, variance range of 10%. You have an upward bias. Calculate it, and 200. Yeah, so these are variances, so this is a little different. That's 275. That's not too good. Variance above is 500,000. So obviously I can't throw the 3,000% and add the compound interest. That's why I switched to the calculator. But anyway, you get the point. You get the point. If you versus, let's do a traditional one. So that's 275 at future kind of fair value. So let's call it 275, which is okay. So traditional one would be like 9%, variance of like 6%. You got 114. So you're still double what you could have had. I think that the $500 a month isn't adding much to 10 grand. I think it would add more than that. That's crazy to me. That's like a 5%. You're adding 5% in the first year. Huh. It doesn't seem right to me, but I guess it is what it is. Yeah, 275. Um, yeah. So what you can do if you got 20 years, that 275 probably turns into a lot more. It 10 folds on you to 2.5 or 12 if you get really lucky. Get about 36% to $500,000 in 20 years, you know. It depends how much time you got. My kids a lot. My kids right now got, let's run my kids calculator. I don't really do a monthly contribution on them. And they are super young, so they got 60 years. And they're in the TQQQ, so let's just run that same calculator. It'll be like billions of dollars. $1.3 billion. I'm like, dude, if that's $1.3 billion in freaking in 60 years, that's nuts. And his calculators are full of crap. But, 50 years. Wow, just take that last decade away, you're down to 154 million. Like a pauper. Or 15 billion at full variance above. Or variance below is only $1 million. So, yeah, I'm about done here too, Aram. I'm about done. There's not much more to go over. But yeah, so there's all of that. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, there's the TQs are a great vehicle to utilize, especially for there's risk associated, but there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of risk with the TQs, and with the rewards you get, I think it's well worth it. The only thing about this that's a little sideways is if the Nasdaq stops leading, you have to switch to another 3 times ETF. That would be the only caveat that I could see. So, all right, let's wrap it up. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Thank you, Aram. Thank you, Ted. Good to see. Hey, Farhan. What's up, Farhan? Good to see Farhan. Good to see Ted. Lots of people in here I don't see very often. Saw Cheyenne, which pretend to have a girlfriend. Just go out and get one. Don't pretend. I think Loopy bailed. Rick's here. So thank you guys for joining. Wrapping up here today, it's the stock market's on a bull run. If you think the stock market can't run, you're about to be proven wrong. Bitcoin is doing interesting things. I'm hoping we're in the tail end of our correction, and we're going to start to go sideways and then start to curl back up. I think that would be amazing. Litecoin's putting in some good things. XRP setting up. There's a lot of good things right now that are pointing in the right direction. We may not start to run immediately, but I'm hoping that we're done with down and we're going to chop and go up eventually, whenever that is. So no big trading plan for the week other than hopefully the markets hold up and we just see good behaviors. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and I will see you